Hey everyone, ready to explore something kind of wild. We're going deep on turning CO2 emission, the climate change culprit, into food, actual protein. And not just any protein. This stuff is single-cell protein, jam-packed with amino acids. Those are like the building blocks of life. Pretty cool science, right? And it could seriously change how we think about food in the future. So scientists have figured out this new bioprocess using CO2 and electricity to make this single-cell protein. You might be thinking, hold on, bacteria for dinner. It might sound weird, but actually, we already eat tons of microbe stuff without even knowing it. Think yogurt, cheese, bread, all thanks to those tiny helpers. But how does this whole CO2 to protein thing even work? Well, it starts with two reactors, like connected. The first one uses something called microbial electrosynthesis. It's a mouthful, I know, but basically it turns CO2 into acetate. Acetate's a simple organic compound, kind of like vinegar. Then reactor number two, that's where the aerobic bacteria come in. They go to town on that acetate and bam, single-cell protein. It's like a tiny food factory, turning a bad thing, greenhouse gas, into something we need. And the best part, this process is super efficient. Researchers are getting crazy high protein content, like 74%. That's right up there with, or even better than, things like fish meal and soybean meal, which we use a lot now. Plus, it makes very little waste and just keeps making protein without getting, bogged down by its own byproducts. Now, you're probably wondering, why should I care about this? Well, for starters, it's tackling two huge problems: climate change and making sure everyone has enough to eat. By using CO2, instead of letting it heat up the planet, we're turning a problem into, well, lunch. And as more people need food, having a way to make protein that doesn't hurt the planet is super important. But here's where it gets really interesting. This single-cell protein isn't just some boring futuristic food replacement. It's full of those good amino acids, which means it could be a total game changer for animal feed. And get this, maybe even for us. Just imagine the possibilities. We could basically design these little microbes to make specific types of protein, for different diets and needs. It's like food design at the tiniest level. This whole thing is still pretty new, but the potential is huge. Think about it. What if we could create valuable stuff from things we used to think of as waste? This is just one example of how science can find crazy solutions, sometimes in the most unexpected places. And you know what's really cool? This isn't just about feeding people directly. It could be huge for animal feed, too. Think about it. Right now, a lot of animal feed is made from crops like soy and corn, and those need a ton of land, water, and fertilizer to grow. But if we switch to this single-cell protein, that could be a game changer. We could make raising livestock way less harsh on the environment. Less deforestation, less water pollution, fewer greenhouse gases is a win-win. And remember how I said we can engineer these microbes to make specific proteins? Well, that means we could create single-cell protein that's like custom-made for different animals. Imagine a feed that's specially designed to help chickens lay more eggs or cows produce more milk. We could make sure animals are getting exactly what they need to thrive, all while using less stuff and keeping the planet happy. Now, I know what you're thinking. What about the taste? Will this protein actually taste good? Well, that's something scientists are working on right now. They're figuring out how to make it more appealing, both for animals and for us humans. And hey, if we can make kale chips taste good, I'm pretty optimistic. Check for any allergy stuff and figure out how to make enough of it to feed everyone. It's a work in progress, but the possibilities are so exciting that it's totally worth it. This whole idea of taking CO2 and turning it into food, it's just mind-blowing to me. It shows what science can do, finding these creative solutions to big problems. It gives me hope that even with all the challenges we face, we can find a way forward. So as we wrap up our deep dive into this whole CO2 to protein thing, I want to leave you with a thought. What if this is like just the tip of the iceberg? What if turning CO2 into food is just the start of something even bigger? Imagine a future where we're not just reducing waste, but actually creating abundance from it, where we're using nature's own tools to solve these huge problems we face. It's a future worth fighting for, and I'm so stoked to see what comes next. Just think we could have these whole systems for growing food, all powered by renewable energy and using what was once a harmful waste product. It's seriously mind-blowing, and it could totally change how we think about food and sustainability. Keep that curiosity alive, and let's see what amazing discoveries are just around the corner. Who knows what we'll find?